Hey, what's up there, everybody in podcast land? This is Cryptic Heartland, episode 117. I am one of the hosts, Leo Fernandez. The man in the kiss shirt, that's Mr. Jake. And
Hello.
then the guy on the left or left is Dan the man. And of
How
course,
you guys doing?
we got our special guest in the middle, Mr. Josh Hurd of, oh God, where do we start? Many acclaims. Let's say, I know you originally from the Ectoplasm show. You're from Malvern, Manor. Now you do G Crew with yourself, Nick Groff, Johnny Hauser, and Chad Lindbergh. Quite the guest list there, man. That's awesome. What's up, sir?
How you guys doing?
Doing good, man. Can't complain for a Sunday.
All right.
How about you?
I'm hanging in there, bro.
Oh, I hear you.
Okay.
Keeping you busy, huh?
Oh my God, all the time, all
Hey.
the time.
Busy is a good problem to have, so.
Exactly what I always say. It's a good problem to have, man. Like I like it.
It's when you're not wanted anymore. That's when the problem really happens.
That's funny, man. Like I always say, like if your phone isn't dying, like your business is, right? So
Exactly.
like, that's kind of my thing. Like you got to just keep grinding, all the time.
For sure. So, I don't know where to begin with you. Let's see. I'd say I got to meet you first when we were invited on your and Jason Kupsik's, I probably said his name wrong, it's Kupsik. We did the Ectoplasm episode, which was a special one for you guys. It was episode number 300, and we talked about the upcoming KC Paracon. We told some stories about our adventures, and which we share some similar ones, which I love, and we'll talk about that tonight. And then just everyday live we talked about, but it was fun. And then I got to see you live and direct right next to us. We had a booth right next to each other at the KC Paracon in 2019, and we were supposed to all make return appearances at 2020, and then COVID happened.
Man, yeah.
Damn you,
2020 happens, and it just kind of kicked us in the teeth there for a second, didn't it? Dang.
It did. We have one more guy trying to join us. He's coming along here shortly. Just a second.
Oh, cool.
It's Jason Roberts. There he is. Oh, where you at? Hang on. Let me adjust things. Let me adjust myself once.
What have you done to me?
Let me.
Sorry about that.
That's inappropriate to do on this podcast, man. Don't start adjusting yourself.
We got a full house tonight, man, which is a good problem to have. So.
Yes.
Sorry I am late, guys.
No, it's all right. We just talked about you.
Man.
Look at how much bigger you are than me right now.
I'm adjusting. Relax. It's not my
First time
for
super
everything,
giant
Jake.
ego.
I thought he might like to enjoy the moment.
There we go. That looks somewhat better. Okay. So anyways, we were doing the introductions, kind of telling them how we met. Like I said, Jason, who just joined us, Jason Roberts, he and I did the Ectoplasm show with you and Jason Kupsik on 300, and we had a good time. So,
It was a good time.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But, so, what were your plans for... Well, let's go back. We won't jump to that just yet. It's going to be the typical questions you get, like, what got you interested in the paranormal? We'll start there first.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, I guess it all started for me anyway. It was like when I lost an uncle. I was like 12, 13 years old when he passed away, and he was he was only 31 years old. So he was quite young.
Dang.
But that right there kind of I was just now at that age to kind of understand the finality of death, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I took it really hard anyway, but it also kind of fascinated me. Like surrounding his death, we had a lot of weird experiences happening to, not just me, but like other family members as well. And so, that's kind of like what started me on this whole path, I guess, is, okay, there's something bigger than us that's going on, and we're not quite privy to that, right?
For sure.
And so, I started diving into anything paranormal that I could get my hands on, right? So it was like the works of like Hans Holzer, Ed and Lorraine Warren's, their stuff. I was reading different parapsychological studies. I mean, really weird stuff for like a 12 or 13-year-old kid to really start diving into. But I mean, that was it right there for me, is what kind of started me on this whole path, I guess. And then of course, like I went to college, and there was a show that came on TV called Ghost Hunters that I was like, oh my God, like people go out and do this somewhat recreationally. I'm like, I'm gonna get this going. Like, I'm gonna try this, right? And so that's kind of how I started, anyway.
No, I hear you. I know you talk about a lot of that in your own personal films you have out there, your documentaries, we'll call them. Brush with Evil. You talk about, I know in the first one, you talk about your uncle passing. You and your brother James talk about it and how it affected you, and then you.
Yeah.
We're crazy enough to do part 2 and 3, so which are all good, by the way.
Oh, thank you, man. Yeah, the Brush with Evil like series or whatever was kind of like a labor of love, and like the first one, that was just my introduction, I guess, into like the whole filmmaking thing.
Mm-hmm.
Man, and then I really got the itch. You know what I mean? I caught the bug, and I just couldn't stop. So
definitely. No, they turned out fantastic, man. I mean, like I said, you can sit down and watch them all one after another because they just keep you entertained from the start to the finish, and it's just like, that's it? I want more.
Oh, thank you. It was funny, the other night, it was last week, we were doing a bachelor party for a friend of mine, and I mean, we basically had like everybody in like the Brush with Evil films or whatever, that we were all there. And they almost had me talked into doing like a fourth one. And I was like, I think I'm done with that. Like, I don't want to do any more of those.
I was going to say, you don't want to do Star Wars, man. And then next thing you know, you have prequels and, after sequels and everything else. Leave it at 3.
Yeah.
Get the perfect trilogy.
Well, yeah, that's what I think, man. Like, we'll have like a Brush with Evil 1.5 or whatever.
Right. Redo or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. No, they turned out good. Like I said, I don't know how much you care if I talk about them. I went over, got some stuff from them and watched them, and each one has its own special meaning and its own uniqueness to it. I mean, the first one starts out basically as your typical documentary, capturing paranormal. You went to a bar initially to do an investigation, and as we find out, nightclubs, bars are always hard to deal with because they don't shut down. Not for a long time.
No, dude, it's so weird, right? Like, they were nice enough to be like, oh yeah, come on over and investigate, right? And I didn't realize like that there's a bar that's attached to this cafe area, and I mean, no way. Like, there was no way we could do it. It was way too loud. So
yep, been there, done that.
But it's really strange though. Like, I went outside and I was smoking, a cigarette, and there was this guy outside, and he was like, hey man, what's with all the cameras? And I'm like, well, this is where I lose a lot of people, right? Like, this is where people are going to think I'm either cock duty crap crazy, or they're going to think this is okay and kind of cool. And he was like, oh yeah, that's really neat what you guys are doing. And he's like, I own this place. He's like, it's like 10,000 square feet, and it used to be a hotel, and then it was a nursing home, and then it was more of a group home for mentally handicapped people. He's like, there's all sorts of weird things that happen in there. He's like, I don't believe in this stuff, but there's a lot of things that happen that I can't explain. And I was like, oh, where the hell is this place? And he's like, oh, it's just right across the street. I was like, oh my gosh, like, that's really, really cool. So he was nice enough to say, yeah, come on over. And looking back at it now, like, it's really strange because like what he was then inviting us into was this monstrosity of a building that we would then soon call Malvern Manor. It's just nuts, like how everything kind of played itself out, I guess. Like, I've completely stopped believing in coincidence,
For sure. Yeah, no, and Malvern Manor turned out to be such a unique hotbed of its own activity that, like I said, if you guys have never seen it, it's been on every ghost show that I know of. I mean, I've seen it in different episodes from Paranormal Lockdown, I believe, to a couple other shows. Yeah, and of course Josh's own, unique twist spin on it. So, like I said, if you can go out, purchase A Brush with Evil 1, 2, and even 3, because they all kind of relate in this unique. Just a unique way. We'll just call it that. But yeah, and they talk about Malvern Manor, and then just like on the first one, you guys just kind of briefly touch a base with Malvern Manor. You guys actually go to Workman Church. Is that what it's called? Workman Church.
Yeah, Workman's Chapel. Yeah, that was kind of like the whole antagonist of the first one, right? Yeah, like Malvern Manor was just like the first 10 minutes of the film is us stumbling upon that building,
Right.
And then, but I mean, Workman's Chapel was kind of the main, like antagonist of the whole story. Really, it was just this weird building, and I wanted to like tell the story as in depth as possible, and then take the group back to Workman's Chapel to try to elicit some kind of a response. But I mean, ultimately, we had all been affected by this building in some way, shape, or form, and this was like, I mean, more or less just closure for us, just to finally be done with it once and for all, and just kind of give it the middle finger on your way out the door.
For sure, yeah. And for the viewers at home, Workman Chapel is just a shell of a former church. Basically, it looks cool as hell from the outside. From the inside, it tells a whole different story.
Yeah, it's super weird, right?
Oh, yeah.
It's just like, it looks like a barn.
Yeah.
It looks like an old barn. It has like a really big entrance in the front. There's 3 windows on each side, and then there's 2 windows in the back. But it is just a one-room, run-down, decrepit chapel. That's it. And so, yeah, it fell into disuse back in the 1950s.
Wow.
So, I mean, you can imagine, like, it's just completely, derelict. It's useless,
Yeah, definitely.
I'm surprised it's still standing, honestly.
So have you been back to that location at all, just for fun, or since the movie?
So when we were doing the screening of A Brush with Evil, we went all the way to the West Coast and then kind of worked our way back home, right?
Okay.
And the last stop for the tour was Maryville, Missouri, which is where Workman's Chapel is. And so that was really kind of cool to see the response from the town and all of that. And we ended up doing kind of like a VIP type of thing where we all went out then to Workman's Chapel after the screening, and we investigated there and all of that fun stuff. The last time I was there we were filming A Brush with Evil 3. It was day 1 of shooting, and me and my buddy Chris, we hopped in the car and we went to Workman's Chapel. We never even got off the road. So if you're watching like A Brush with Evil 3, I have at the very beginning some really cool drone type shots of Workman's Chapel, where basically what we did was standing on the road, we just flew a drone into Workman's Chapel, did some weird turnaround type stuff, and then backed it out. That was it. Like, we never actually set foot on the property itself because I was just, I wasn't in the mood, man. Like, I didn't want to do it.
So it's mentally taxing just to even try to even face it up, because what happened there and previous, excursions, and then try to go back. It's just like, do I really want to do this again? Don't want to have that, the after effects of things, follow me and do whatever it has to do to me again. Yeah, it's mentally wearing, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I just wanted to put it all back behind us.
Yeah, I understand. How long did it take you guys to film? Like, how many, was it just 3 actual, well, like, actually at Workman, did you do multiple visits there to make that documentary, or did you just do it all, like, as many, like, basically 1 or twice?
Yeah, so basically what we did was a different experiment on 4 consecutive nights. So we were trying to kind of, like, you'll listen to the story and how the story unfolds or whatever. It's 4 consecutive nights. Each night gets more and more intense for whatever reason. And it always seemed like night 4 was the worst. So what we wanted to do was then, like 4 consecutive nights down there. So, I mean, that's all we did was just the 4 nights. And yeah, I mean, we had 3 members of like what I would consider, crew. And then we had like the cast or whatever. I mean, it was kind of funny. Like we had 75% of the crew quit 24 hours before we were supposed to even start. So it's like they never even got on the plane to come out. You know what I mean?
Wow.
So they just like, no thanks. So what was originally going to be like this very cool, beautiful, cinematic looking type of documentary turned into a very run and gun type of documentary,
Sure.
Very dirty and raw, which ultimately I kind of like doing more. So
I agree. It turned out great.
More. Oh, thank you.
Yeah, cinematic. It looks real versus, okay, this could be staged or whatever. I mean, but no,
Exactly.
This is what you see is what you get, and man,
Yeah,
it's the best kind.
and that was one thing that I wanted to do. Like as far as like putting the documentary together, I wanted to avoid any music, right? I wanted to avoid as much, music score as possible. And so, yeah, like during transition scenes and all that, you have some form of soundtrack underneath. But as far as the investigation, there's nothing. That's just the audio. That's all you're getting. It's pure. I don't want the audience to feel influenced in any way as to how to feel. I don't want any spooky jump scares or anything like that in there as well. Because I think it's influential to an audience, and I wanted to avoid that. So again, it's very raw and real.
Yeah. Without giving away too much of the storyline and whatnot, how is the girl that I don't want to give away too much, but how did she turn out? Is she okay to this day, or?
She's good. Absolutely refuses to do anything in the paranormal whatsoever. She's completely out of the game. Like,
oh, wow.
No thanks.
Yeah.
So she's, yeah.
That whole, I mean, just the story lead up, the build up, and the audio and everything is just insane, man. Just, like I said, I don't want to spoil it for anybody who wants to go watch it, because you won't believe it what they went through and what happened to her, especially. It's the downside of paranormal, unfortunately.
Yeah, and that's what really sucks, right? Is like that was kind of like our introduction. We were in college and, young and dumb, and we had watched 4 episodes of Ghost Hunters and thought we knew everything there was to know about paranormal investigating, and off we go.
Right.
And bit off way more than we could chew.
Yeah.
How rare of an occasion that is for us. For anybody, and then for that to be like our introduction really into the field was something unexpected, to say the least.
Wow. Just in your time as an investigator, author, director, writer, you name it, what is something that's always stuck out in your mind in this field, that whether it be something you witnessed, experienced, or just anything, what's always stuck out in your mind? What keeps you going, basically?
Yeah.
What keeps me going, honestly, is I'm tenacious as hell. Like I'm very analytical when it comes to a lot of stuff. And so like, it's just that overall want and desire to figure it out. We're all after like the exact same question. It's one question.
Mm-hmm.
What happens to us when we die? That's it. That's
right.
it. And it's that question that really freaking drives me nuts sometimes.
Do you feel like you're getting closer to it?
I think we are getting closer, sure. At the same time, it's really tough, right? It's almost like we're never gonna know.
Yeah.
And that also is kind of a weird thought. Like, are we even meant to know? And so it's, I don't know, again, like I'm really bullheaded. And so I'm just like, man, I want to keep pushing as much as possible.
Yeah.
So yeah, but that's what definitely keeps me on it.
Definitely. And that kind of leads into a nice segue, A Brush with Evil 2, because you guys do some experiments and some things that I love the fact that your wife gets involved. And she has some curveballs for you guys that you don't even see coming.
I tell you, man. So going into A Brush with Evil 2, I was told nothing, right? I was told, no, we got this. Like my wife or whatever, she said, oh yeah, this is my baby. I got this.
Nice.
And so as we were kind of progressing and getting closer and closer to the production date, because A Brush with Evil 2 was filmed just in one evening, one night. Wow. But getting closer and closer to that date, we had no information whatsoever. And I'm ultimately the guy that's going to be putting this together at the end of the day, right? Mm-hmm. And for me not to have any direction whatsoever, I'm like, I have to know something. She goes, no, like you show up at this time and that's it. Like you and your guys are going to go and investigate. And that's it. So we investigated for an hour. And then we came back down, and then a group of ladies went up, and they investigated for an hour, and that was it. So the entire time in the back of my brain, I'm thinking, this documentary's screwed from Jump Street. Like, there is no story, there's no narrative, there's no anything.
Right.
Like, this is just a complete waste of our time. And then she started throwing these curveballs, right? Mm-hmm. She was pulling everybody away, one at a time, pulling us away. And we were taking us down to the Shadow Man hallway in Malvern Manor, mm-hmm. which I thought was interesting. I was like, what the hell are they doing back there? Well, it was a very interviewee type series of questions. And then she was asking different things, like, as an investigator, what do you use the most as far as your senses go, whether it be your hearing, your sight, what have you. Whatever your answer was, they were about to take away from you in a series of then isolation experiments. And I'm like, oh crap, now we have a film here. Okay, mm-hmm. I see what we're going after. Because it was just all this weird, trippy, mind-donking stuff that I was like, what are you doing here? And then finally it's like, I get it. I totally got it then. But it was, I don't know, it was infuriating, honestly, before I knew what was going on.
So I got to ask, who came up with the term head donk? Is that a Josh-ism?
That was me.
That's what I figured.
That was me because because I've always tried to substitute. Now, don't get me wrong. I use the F word like a comma. You know what I mean? Right. All the time. But sometimes, if I can't say the F word, I'll just use the word donk.
Nice.
In place of it, right? So yeah, I said head donk, and I just kept it in the voiceover.
Hey, it fit perfectly, man.
It works.
It's like, that's a new term I've never even heard of. Head donk.
The old head donk.
Hell yeah. That's awesome.
Funny.
Very cool. Very, very cool. Yeah, I was just sitting there watching this, and I'll go into part 3 here in just a second, but some of the stuff you guys do is what we use, which I found very fascinating. It's like, okay, because, I mean, stuff we're doing is not unique to our team or your team or whoever, It's somebody somewhere has probably tried this, you would hope, but maybe not to the levels we do. But, yeah, it's just like, when I send you guys doing these tests, it's just like, man, we do that too. That's awesome. We like to torture each other really some days.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, very cool. So then you move over, transition to A Brush with Evil 3, which was filmed last year, in early March, I think it was, or was it June?
I think it was.
January.
I'm trying to remember. It was September.
Oh.
I think no. Shit. I'm trying to remember. Yeah, it was the end of September.
Okay.
Or something like that. But I think it was 2 years ago, maybe.
Oh,
God,
okay.
I don't even remember, bro. Honestly,
I just remember seeing the
weird.
date of the release, and I think it was March 23rd or something, 2019, so it really stuck out. Or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, something like that.
So we did, Yeah, because we premiered it at Haunticon in Omaha, Nebraska.
Nice.
Last year.
Very cool. Yeah, and that one's cool as hell because it kind of ties it all 3 episodes into one, but it has its own special unique twist, which what they do without giving too much away again, you take 2 locations, your team goes, well, should I say it or should I not say it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
No, we can get into it for sure.
So we'll back it up here. So Johnny Hauser of Aliska Axe Murder House, we met last year at the Paracon for the first time, and who's a fantastic dude, man. Love that guy. Yeah, and who's also part of G Crew, once again. Nice little segue back.
Yeah.
Shameless promotions.
Yeah, right. Nothing wrong with shameless promotions. So,
yeah, no kidding, right?
Every little bit helps. But Johnny Hauser and I can't remember Seth's last name. They stay at Malvern Manor while Josh and his team venture out to, of all places, the Sally House in Atchison, Kansas, and they do a simultaneously investigation, and they tie them together and they do some real-time things, which is amazing because it kind of, once again, some stuff we tried before where I've sat here in the studio that I'm recording from while the gang's been out on location doing an investigation, and I've came through and tried to stir things up and had some interaction. Yeah. It does work. I mean,
yeah, it does.
It's pretty impressive, right? Like how that could even be, possible. Like to elicit a response from 150 miles away doesn't seem feasible at all, especially with no communication between the two, right? So, and that was my biggest thing. I knew this was going to be a logistical nightmare. I understood that from Jump Street.
Right.
But like trying to timestamp everything, and everything had to be to the millisecond. Like it had to be precise. Which, I mean, thank God for the internet. You know what I mean? Like, good God, we would have been so screwed. But we had my buddy Paul Kosis, who is like, we just call him the Wizard.
God, that guy's amazing.
Able to, oh my gosh, I'm telling you. And he was able to fashion, I don't even know what he did. And if I tried to explain it, I would butcher it entirely. But what he ended up doing was making a device that was able to then listen in real time to what was going on at the Sally House and what was going on at Malvern Manor. And he had Malvern in one side of his headphones, and then he had Sally House in the other side of his headphones. It was really, really cool how he did it. Again, I would butcher it if I tried. but regardless, so he was actually in Malvern. And he was instructed, I mean, obviously you don't say a word, you just are listening, observing or whatever. And that was it. So mark down anything that you find to be noteworthy, and we'll go from there. We'll see everything. And again, it's only filmed in one night. So you hope to God that you get something, anything. If not, you realize that you're going to have to spend a lot of money to do it all over again.
Wow.
Which kind of sucks. But we were lucky enough to get those responses that we got, like asking it to, tug on Johnny Hauser's shirt when he's stuck up in the attic by himself. And
at Malvern.
At that same time, he jumps up out of the chair and like is looking at his shirt. Like, okay, that was, pretty cool. I had no idea. Like, and this is what was really heartbreaking is like, we filmed that. I got a hotel room or something like that in Atchison. And then the next morning I had to get up super early and drive to the Des Moines area, to do a paranormal conference.
Oh, wow.
And so I still had no freaking clue anything that we had captured, anything. And it wasn't until then, the following day then, that I was able to finally sleep and then sit down and listen and watch just to see if we captured anything, which I was pleasantly surprised with all the things that we got. I mean, right out of the gate, the first hour of the investigation is just kind of like what I call the control of the experiment. This is who we are. This is how we investigate each location. And right out of the gate, things were happening to both teams simultaneously that almost mimicked one another. And we're still scratching our heads. Like, how does that even happen? So,
dang. Yeah.
I don't know.
Like I said, go out and watch all of them, man. You can't go wrong. I sat down and binge watched all of them, and I just couldn't put them down. I was like, man, I was rewinding stuff to see what I missed, and I'm like, oh man, because there was so much information, but so much uniqueness to each one of their own episodes, and it's just, or documentaries, and man, it's just like, it's like I said, it's close to home because it's what we try to do too as a team. We try to go out and investigate and find out who's at this location, and if we can interact in different ways other than just your standard, call and response out in the air with a recorder kind of a thing. We test the limits in some places.
Shoot, I loved it when we went to Dodge and you were manning the podcast back in Derby. And you were able to interact with the spirit that's on, or normally the little girl on the staircase.
Right. Yeah. Well,
right. So you made things happen right in front of my eyes right there in person, which I couldn't get anything to happen.
Yeah.
You freaking say something and there it goes.
Yeah. Like I said, I tried to call. I was basically going in by phone and not even there, like you said, 150 miles away, and was able to interact with the spirit, and she immediately responded to us, and it was just like, holy shit, that actually works.
It's just amazing though. It's absolutely amazing how that can happen. To me, it's almost like, okay, time absolutely does not exist. Space absolutely is not it's not a problem at all for them. Which is really, really cool, because now we can even, try to progress that further and take it to the next step or 5, further, because it's really cool idea to entertain.
Definitely. Yeah, like I said, we've tried different techniques also too, and one of them I've been working on, and I'm letting the cat out of the bag, which is not a big secret, but I like to go into locations and try like mental telepathy kind of a thing, where can you hear my thoughts as in the spirits? And it's worked, where I've been thinking something, I'm like, okay, make this certain sound, noise, whatever, comment to the, and then it happens. You're like, holy shit, I haven't got the words out yet. How do you know?
It's amazing, though.
It is.
It's amazing, right?
Oh, 100%, yeah. It's just mind-blowing, for lack of a better term.
See, and that was one of the things, because I've always, Hauser asks this question all the time, too. It's like, how are we getting EVPs? Like, how are we hearing disembodied voices? And some of these voices that we're hearing, like audibly or whatever, they have, there's pitch, there's timbre, there's reverberation.
There's emotion.
It's amazing. But do ghosts have vocal cords? Is that a thing? And it's like, I don't get it. It almost makes you wonder if when we're doing like these EVP things, they know the question is coming. They know what you're going to ask before you even ask it, and then can respond accordingly. I don't know, man. It's freaking nuts, though.
I guess
love it.
One of my questions is why in the hell is the universal go-to for ghosts just simple get out? It's always get out.
Yeah.
Not like get the fuck out of here, leave.
Right.
Please go away, sir. No, it's get out every time.
No, it's always get out. It's kind of a dick thing to say.
It is.
Honestly.
But I get it, man. If there was people who were actually living out at some point, and they're like, man, what the hell does this guy want again? Just get out, please.
Yeah.
Leave me alone.
Just get out.
Yeah. So we've got that on many locations too. It's just like always that whispery get out. It's like, is this a preset for ghosts? Because it's always the same sound pitch.
It's their go-to, right?
Right.
Get out.
It's their ringtone for ghost.
Very a lot of times it's like, hey, I paid good money to be here, I don't want to go anywhere.
Exactly.
Dang.
So of all the places go ahead, Dan, sorry.
Oh, no, you're good.
I was going to say, so of all the places you've investigated ever in your career, which I think it's spanned just as long as ours, which one of your favorite place to ever investigate, your scariest place, and one that you'll never go back to.
Ooh. I tell you what, my absolute favorite place is, Villisca. Like, Villisca is just like an awesome building. I love the building. I love the history of the place. It's such a dark, past in it anyway. So, I mean, that building kind of always will hold like a special place in my heart. One of the really cool places that I went to that I wasn't really expecting much, but it really knocked me for a loop was, what's it called? Hillview Manor, which is out in Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
And that place, man, was nuts. I was hearing all sorts of weird disembodied voices and object manipulation. Like, it was really, really cool. So that place I would love to go back to eventually. But yeah, so that was cool. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah. You just froze for a minute. You had a beautiful look on your face. For a minute? Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah.
Not quite that, but it was pretty close.
Yeah.
Dang.
Well, real quick, a question on going back to Villisca. Talking to Johnny last year at the Paracon, he stated that a little bit of the original hauntings seem to like slow down, and things are changing. Do you guys see a lot of things changing? And do you believe, as I do, that we're bringing different spirits and entities into these places and changing the feeling and the tone?
Yeah, like for real. Like for me anyway, like just at Malvern Manor, right? That place is a million times different than what it was when we first walked in there. I have no idea what is going on, but it's almost like that paranormal baggage, right? That we all kind of bring with us. Mm-hmm. It's very, very strange though. But yeah, like it's shifted, it's morphed. I'll tell you a really cool story, real quick. So for 3 solid weeks, we had different groups that would come in to Malvern Manor and they would say, "Hey, we met this guy named Jeff." I'm like, "Who the hell is Jeff?" And they're like, "Well, he's a spirit." Now, apparently these groups who also had no idea the other group existed, you know what I mean? They had never met each other. They're like, apparently they were asking pretty close to the same battery of questions, right? Who are you? Did you live here? Did you die here? Etc. And they would always get the same response, which is, "No, I'm new here." I'm like, well, how the hell does that work, right? No, I'm new here. So there's a spirit named Jeff, apparently, who's saying that he's new around here. And then we did like a Vidi Space Christmas party or holiday party at Malvern Manor. And I had a psychic medium friend who was walking around with me. And again, like any psychic medium or whatever, I'm not going to give them any ammo whatsoever. And so I'm walking around with her and she's looking around. She's like, "Well, we got this creeper." I'm like, "What do you mean?" She goes, "It's this guy. He's like following us around and he's like peeking his head around corners." I'm like, "Oh, that's interesting." And she goes, "You can come out now if you'd like. And we're not going to bite. We're, kind of cool." And so she's like, "What's your name?" She goes, "Well, he tells me his name is Jeff." And so instantly I'm getting like this weird thing, like, okay, ding, ding, ding. Like what? I'm like, again, I'm not wanting to give her any ammo. And I go, "What's Jeff's story?" And she looks at me kind of like that look you give somebody over your glasses, like, I don't even believe what I'm about to say. But she says, "Well, Jeff apparently says he's new here." And I'm like, "I think you and I need to go have a chat." Like,
okay.
Oh my God. Like, what? Like, how does that work? That's really, really cool. But I'm like, "Jeff, you're more than welcome to chill here, make yourself comfy, pick yourself out a room, I guess." I don't know. It's pretty cool though. Like how that works.
Wow.
All I can get in my head is that meme or the, "My name Jeff."
Dude, I do that all the time.
Oh my God.
I am always doing that.
That's awesome.
"Jeff, what's up?" And I always go, "Name's Jeff."
Holy crap, that's awesome. Oh my God. So let me ask you this. With that whole new Jeff showing up on scene, kind of a thing, how much do you think is, well, it can go many different ways. Is it a portal that's opened, or is it because a group came in or somebody came in who had this Jeff person attached to them, and now they've brought this person to the location.
I mean, I don't even know what's going on, but yeah, I would suggest that almost like there's like one of those big searchlights that you ever see, like that are kind of sweeping the air or whatever. Yeah. It's almost like that, like a beacon, right? It's like, hey, other spirits are here. Hey, we're talking to people. Hey, we're potentially even getting our stories out there and getting people to listen to us and interact with us. It makes you wonder if that's not what's going on, if that doesn't attract others into the location. I mean, even the story with like Inez Gibson, this little 12-year-old girl who passed away back in 1900, we know definitively now that she never died on property. We know this. She died. It's less than a block away, but it's just right across the street, really. That's where she passed away. That's where the tragedy took place, never at Malvern Manor. So why the hell is she there?
Right.
I mean, she's certainly getting a lot of attention. I'll give you that.
True.
But I mean, I have no idea. So it's very, very odd.
So Inez never had any connection to Malvern Manor other than just down the street?
Not that I can find, right? So what we do know is, like, back in the day, back in 1900 specifically, like, that building was very multi-purpose anyway.
Sure.
Like, weddings were held there, funerals were held there, seances were held there. There was even, the doctors would come into town, traveling doctors or whatever would come into town, and they would line up. People would line up around the block or whatever, and they'd wait their turn in line to go see a doctor. And it's just, it was a very multi-purpose place, that's for sure. But yeah, I don't have any record of her being on property at all. I'm sure she was.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
That's crazy, because for something being so, we'll say, taboo for the time, or, for a long time, they sure did a lot of seances back then in the days. That was their go-to, with the candles and all that stuff. I don't know what it is.
It's kind of interesting, right? Especially during like the spiritualist movement. I mean, like a Ouija board or what have you, that was their form of entertainment. They would entertain guests, with a Ouija board. They would have dinner and then they would sit down and they would, I don't know, try to contact Great Aunt Mildred or some shit. It's like, that's just what they did. And now everybody looks at it like it's the devil or something to do anything like that. And I'm like, well, I do believe that that's fairly sensationalized by Hollywood and what have you.
Right.
Just pop culture in general, really. Because, I mean, so many people will come into Malvern Manor, and I have a Ouija board that's sitting up on one of these shelves, and they're just like, oh, man, no way. I'm like, okay. Like, to me, it's no different than using like a K2 meter.
Right.
Like, oh, blink these lights up to this for yes or no. And it's like, you're still asking general questions.
Yeah.
It's just, instead of using flashing lights and gadgets and gizmos, you're using a board and a planchette, and it's all pretty much the same, in my opinion.
Yeah, we equate it to using an SB7 spirit box. You're asking the response that way. Yeah, it's the same thing. I mean, why not? So, how much do you believe?
Q&A, right?
Yeah, how much do you believe in the whole Ouija board phenomenon? Do you really believe it works, or?
I've had it work a few times for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's always kind of, I don't know, like I appreciate it, like, and I respect it at a distance, and I've done it a few times for sure, but yeah. I mean, it's not something that I'm always using. That's,
Sure.
I'd rather use like the Geoport because it's more like instantaneous. I don't have to sit and wait for something to be spelled out. So, I'm kind of lazy like that, I suppose.
Right. Yeah. Who has time for spelling?
Why do you think everybody freaks out about the board, though? Everybody just thinks it's like the devil thing.
Yeah, I think it all kind of stems back to like The Exorcist, right? Like the film, which is like one of my favorite movies of all time, really. But everybody kind of, I don't know, thinks back to that, and now, of course, like you have different things like the movie Ouija, and I mean, there's all sorts of different things that kind of play into the stigma, right, of of using a Ouija board and how bad it is. And it's like, it is what it is. So
yeah, I agree. We've always discussed that too, because, today's version is, made by Milton Bradley or somebody, and it's like, it's lost its connotation behind it, because it used to be skin and bones and all this stuff back in the day, the original ones.
Yeah.
It's like, but I mean, I guess if you do it right, it can and possibly will work. You just got to make sure you know how to open and close those doors, kind of a thing. That way you're, avoid possession, possibly.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, I remember being like 12 years old and me and my buddies sitting around and supposedly we were talking to Lucille Ball for like a freaking hour. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't know, man. I don't know.
That's awesome.
It's super weird.
Lucy, you got some explaining to do.
Right? You got some explaining to do. I have some questions.
Oh my gosh. So what was the response from Lucille? Right. So what did Lucille Bell tell you? She tell you anything special?
I don't even remember, honestly. No, I think we were all just so like, I don't know, like in that prepubescent type of mindset, like just like, oh dude, like how cool is this? Yeah, That was one of those things.
Sure.
I don't think there was any real structure behind it at all.
Very cool.
What's your thoughts on?
Am I going to get a girlfriend or something like that?
Right. Will ever be rich?
Lucy, is anybody ever going to love me? Come on.
That's awesome.
Go ahead, Jason. I think you had a question.
I was just gonna say, what's your all's thoughts on when people start reaching out to celebrities or whatever, as soon as they've passed away, like the moment they passed away, they start trying to reach out to them, and is there like that fine line of respect and just leave it alone for a while?
Like me personally, I always have kind of felt it was a little uncouth. It's like, man, like you haven't even had the funeral yet. You know what I mean? It's like, geez, like just maybe let people mourn a little bit more. Especially like the big name celebrities, like Robin Williams, man, like that hit everybody. Come on. Everybody loves Robin Williams.
Right.
It's like, damn it. It's like he was Mrs. Doubtfire. He was the genie, for God's sake. Come on.
Right.
So that hit everybody hard, especially the way he passed away. And then it was just like, oh God, are we sensationalizing this in some way? Are we like, it just felt wrong. It just didn't feel couth to me, honestly. I think probably pump the brakes on that a little bit. And other people would probably argue with me, and that's fine too. Absolutely.
Right. Teach their own.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, we've even thought about, how fast can we communicate with somebody once they have passed away? Is there like a timeline for that? How fast are they able to communicate?
Right. And I will say that, some of the people that have put out some of those videos, I mean, God, the next day or even the day of, in some cases, their argument is that it's the best time to communicate with them. Again, that's kind of the funny thing about this field, right? We all have no idea what's the right way and the wrong way, because there really is no right or wrong way. Excuse me. But yeah, so it is, I don't know. It just, to me personally, my personal beliefs, I guess, it was just a little weird.
No, I mean, it's not any different also too for us going 15, 20 years down the road and say, hey, Lucille Ball, are you here, kind of a thing,
Right.
I mean, it's the same token, basically. I mean, versus after after they just passed away and the body's not even cold, asking immediately versus 20 years down the road, kind of a thing. So it's all the same.
Yeah, and I think it was more of just,
But I
understand
your
too.
point.
I mean, what's 15 minutes and what's 15 years to somebody who's passed away? Right. Because, time is a very man-made concept.
Right.
We have no idea. Like, time doesn't even exist over there.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, what's the difference? 15 minutes, 15 years,
so.
Whatever.
I guess so.
Yeah. So, I don't know.
Other than 15 minutes saves you money on insurance, according to Geico. But
that's all. That's all.
That's
Geico.
about it. No, I definitely agree with you as far as being respectful. Somebody's loved one just passed away. Why do we need to trample on that?
Giving somebody time to mourn is just as important, as in the healing process.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It'd be weird. I tell you what, though, if I croak anytime soon, you guys are more than welcome. They should just freaking try to get me to come through. I'm fine with that.
We'll need that in black and white, sir, because I'm not getting sued.
Oh my God! I can't wait. Honestly, I'm gonna haunt so many freaking people. It'll be pretty fun.
That's what I always say. If I die, I guarantee I'm coming back haunting all y'all because.
Oh yeah,
that's what I do.
It is going to be at the most inopportune times. Like you're going to be sitting down trying to rock a deuce or something like that. It's going to happen.
Yeah.
What you doing?
Help it along.
Hell yeah. Are you trying to sleep? It's playtime.
Right.
Hungover? Let's party.
Oh yeah, that'd be the worst. That would be the worst.
Oh my gosh, that's funny. Hell yeah. What else you guys got for Mr. Josh Hurd, our special guest? Anybody?
Well, yeah, the G Crew. I know 2020 has shut you guys down as well as us. But what do you guys got planned in the bright future?
G Crew, what we definitely want to do is we just want to hit the road. We want to go out and we want to do kind of like a G Crew live, wherever we can, different haunted locations and do things like that. That's ultimately what we would like to do. Our first opportunity to do that is going to be next August in Dallas in Texas at that Texas Paracon, which will be a lot of fun.
Yes.
And so that'll be kind of, I guess, the first time that we do it. I know that we're trying to plan something for early spring at Malvern Manor. We'll see if that happens or not. We just have no idea. We're just kind of playing everything by ear at this point.
That's cool. Yeah.
It's 2020,
You feel like making it out to Kansas, man. We got a place for you. Come out anytime.
Heck
we got
yeah.
some places. We got a couple locations some good old places we've been doing for years and some new places that nobody really knows about. So it's we caught some unbelievable evidence that hasn't even seen the light of day yet other than our own personal viewing. So it's pretty incredible stuff. Yeah, definitely. I forgot what I was going to say now. I lost my train of thought.
Yeah, we were just looking at some of that right before the show.
Yeah, we were reviewing some stuff tonight, and
Dan
holy
and Jason
shit.
haven't seen it yet.
I love that.
Some of our other teammates haven't even seen it yet, so that's how new it is. But yeah.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah.
I love that stuff, man.
Yeah. Matter of fact, Jason Kupsik's coming down on October 3rd to be an in-studio guest, and then we're going to go investigate afterwards.
Nice.
So, hey, if you're not doing anything October 3rd, come to Wichita.
Well, it's funny. So October 3rd has now become kind of a special day. So we just found out yesterday that my daughter, my 11-year-old daughter, contracted COVID, right? So she tested positive for COVID-19.
Mm-hmm.
So we are now quarantined here at the house, which I'm already about ready to climb the walls. Okay,
right.
boys, I'm freaking out already. 'Cause I'm I can't sit still, man. So here I am. But regardless, our main focus is, getting her healthy and all that.
Yep.
But October 3rd that's going to be my 39th birthday. And then it's also the day that quarantine is done for us.
Oh, very cool.
What are we going to do? So,
hell yeah.
So, yeah, we'll see if I can actually get out of the house by then. That'd be amazing.
I'm telling you, man. Oh, yeah, we each have our own little brush with that COVID crap. I just had it right now, actually. My quarantine just ended basically today. So it's a mess, dude. This whole year.
It's a pain, yeah. It's a pain in the butt. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah. But it's unfortunately going to be what they say our new norm, unfortunately. It's our new flu, so it sucks. How is your daughter doing, man? How's she doing overall anyways?
surprisingly, she's doing okay. Like last night, she was complaining of her head hurting and all of that. And, you know, she has kind of a scratchy throat. Other than that, I think we've been fairly fortunate so far. I realize it's kind of early in the whole process, but still, I mean, we're keeping our hopes up here, you know? So everything goes good.
We'll definitely be thinking about you and your family, make sure everything goes
thank you.
quick and, you know, she gets out of that whole mess quick, because that's nothing to play with, unfortunately.
This is awful.
Yeah. Yep.
It sucks, yeah. So I've been taking, I'm taking probably more vitamins than I probably should, but that's cool. And then I'm, I mean, I just got done drinking a gallon of water today, you know what I mean? So I'm just trying to flush anything that's potentially in me out of me. So I'm, you know, going to the bathroom like it's my job, but whatever, you know. Okay.
Hey, at least your pee is very colorful, man, from all the vitamins. It's like a rainbow. Skittles.
No doubt.
Taste the rainbow.
No, don't taste that rainbow. Not that one.
Sorry, man. I had to.
That's awesome.
Oh, God. No, I was popping zinc myself and drinking orange juice and water, you name it, trying to just avoid all that. Did you have to do the test yourself? Have you did that test? Because it's no fun. I did it, and it's like, holy shit, this is stupid.
Yeah, like I haven't done the test. My wife did the test today, and it came back negative, so that's cool.
Great.
So I'm probably going to wait a few days to do a test. I'm going to get one of the rapid tests done because it doesn't have to go all the way up to your dang brain, right? Like, so it's just kind of like the inside of the nose. And then it's like 15 minutes. It's like 15 minutes and you know. Wow. So that's encouraging too. I know around here in our small little town here in Iowa, we had some people waiting just ungodly amounts of time for results. So much time, in fact, that they could probably contract the damn virus 3 times over, you know? So it's tough, you know, it's tough. We're trying to get on top of everything, and I see, you know, what we're doing. We're trying to keep on top of everything and, you know, do as best as we can, I suppose.
Yeah. No, I took mine. It told us 5 days. If you don't hear anything, go to this website, and it's just like every day you're just, it's eating at you, man, over and over. It sucks.
Yeah.
So if you can do rapid, go ahead.
Like anytime I have like a cough or anything, I'm like, oh God, this is it. You know, this is it.
Well, Jake was telling me earlier, he's like,
I got the Rona.
Right. Jake goes, man, if I sneeze, don't get panicky. I've just got allergies. I'm like, oh, sure you do, son of a bitch.
Right. That was my thing. Like this morning, like every morning, especially now that the weather's kind of changing, it's like 80 degrees during the day and 40 degrees at night. Right. So it's super weird.
Yep.
This time of year, like I always wake up with like a head full of junk and I'm just blowing my nose for like the first hour, right? And then everything's cool. Everything's better. But this morning, that first hour, I was like, oh God, this is it. This is it for me. So, yeah.
God, man, if we had some kind of person in the office that could change the way this whole thing worked, you know. Oh, wait a minute. I know somebody who's running.
Don't get me started.
Well, no, I'm talking about you, Mr. Running for County Supervisor in 2020. Oh,
yeah, look at me go.
How the hell did you come about doing that? Oh, we lost him. There he is.
I tell you, like I did some work for a campaign. I'm sorry. I'm like in and out of like focus here. Sorry. I did some work for a campaign. Yeah, right. It's like, where's he going? But yeah, so it was in February, December and February. I did some work for a campaign for a presidential candidate, and I don't know what exactly I did, but I must have maybe impressed somebody. But they asked me if I would consider running for a county position here.
Cool.
Yeah, I mean, I thought, okay, sure, why not? Like, let's give it a shot. Let's see if a ghost hunter could get elected to office. Like, jeepers, creepers.
That's right.
But I'm like, all anybody has to do is Google, and they're going to be like, what the hell is this guy's deal?
Hey, That's what happens to everybody.
Yeah.
You know, they get Googled, and the next thing you know, all the freaking secrets come out of the closet.
Oh yeah, I've got so many. I've got so many secrets.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God. But yeah, I mean, so that's kind of how it happened. So I was like, yeah, sure, I'll give it a shot. So here we are, and now we're kind of on the home stretch here.
Nice.
Which, I mean, come November 3rd, like I'm, you know, either got the job or I don't got the job. Either way, I'm happy with it, whatever. So
Yeah.
it is what it is at this point, man. I'm so damn tired of it already.
So does Iowa
Just get
do
it
mail-in
over with.
votes? Because we can all mail it in. Next thing you know, you're president-elect.
Oh, no. Nobody wants that job. God, nobody wants that
Well,
job.
somebody does. Anyways, we won't go there.
Right.
Oh my gosh. No, that's freaking cool, dude.
Man.
I was telling Apex Paranormal just
Very
last
cool.
week about it, and they're like, "What? Josh is running?" I'm like, "You didn't know?"
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
dude, it's everywhere. It's fucking badass.
That's funny.
Oh my gosh, too funny.
Yeah, it could be pretty interesting, I guess, especially if I win. Holy God. I don't know what's going to happen.
So, do you have an acceptance
So-
speech or prepared already?
No.
My fellow ghost
No.
hunters.
Right. We finally got it. Oh my God.
That's awesome. Oh man, now only if
That'd be
Paracon
fun.
would have happened in Kansas City in 2020, we definitely would have brought that shit up. There'd have been new shirts this year.
Oh God. Man, that was terrible. I was like, what are you doing to me, Dave?
Oh my god, it's
Man.
freaking amazing.
So funny.
What
He
did
had
the
this
shirt
whole
say
thing
again?
planned out, and I forgot. Like he told me 2 weeks before the Paracon, he was
Uh-huh.
like, "Oh, I got a surprise for you." I'm like, "Oh yeah?" Totally spaced it. I had no idea like what he had like planned or anything like that. And then I'm up there doing my thing, and then here comes all these dudes wearing the shirt with my face on it. I'm like, that's kind of terrifying, boys. Like, what are we doing? So
That's hilarious.
That's awesome.
That's amazing.
it's funny.
Yeah, I'm sure those aren't in the works for upcoming years. You won't see anything like that ever again.
Oh,
I promise.
I hope not.
Holy shit.
Man.
So where are
It's
you
funny,
at
though.
right now? Are you at the Malvern Manor as we speak?
No, I'm
Okay.
at my house right
Okay.
now because
Quarantine, dude.
my original plan was to do this at Malvern Manor
Mhm. But Corona.
because I got like the because
Yeah.
damn Rona got me and all that fun stuff. So here I am. I'm just stuck.
Yeah. I kind of
Yeah.
figure you might be there.
Yeah. Well, I was like, well, what am I going to do for 14 days that's going to keep me busy enough to, like, because I'm just, I don't know. I get stir crazy, right? Like, I'm going to climb the walls eventually, I promise. But I decided, I was like, well, I'm going to gather all my stuff. Like, after we got the phone call, I was like, well, I'm going to have to do something for 14 days. And so I figure I'm just going to make a film while I'm stuck here at the house. And so I started work on that last night because, there's nothing else to do.
Sure.
So,
Right.
yeah.
No, that's cool. What type of
Man.
film, if you don't mind me asking, is it like paranormal or is it COVID related or is it just whatever you putting out?
No, I wanted to keep my mind off the Rona as much as possible, but like, it's more of a documentary type film, obviously. It is fairly paranormal, but it has nothing to do with ghosts. It has nothing to do with
Short.
demons. It has nothing to do with ghost hunting, but it is fairly paranormal. I did a film a couple years ago that's called Interconnected.
Mm-hmm.
And that was kind of like how the human populace is more connected than what we would actually think or realize even. And this kind of stems off of that a little bit, but it obviously goes to the next level. So yeah, I don't know how this is gonna fly. A lot of people are gonna watch it and some people might get upset. And
That
some
means you
people
did it
might
right.
like, I don't know, like some people might have some form of faith restored in them in some way, shape, or form. That's what I'm ultimately going for. So using math and science and all of this stuff, we're going to kind of explore the idea of God, or if you don't want to call it God, you can call it just intelligent design. How about that? Sure. And so that's kind of what I'm going for.
Nice.
So we'll see.
We'll see. Okay, speaking of God, did you happen to find him after Brush with Evil 3? Kind of like Hauser did.
Speaking
I'm just
of
curious.
who?
God.
Oh. Yeah, so I've always I've always been fairly
spiritual,
I guess.
Yeah.
I guess, yeah, like religious is a terrible word to use, I guess, to describe that. Like I've always been spiritual. I believe that there is a God. I've always believed in God. Now you're not going to see me in church every Sunday morning or anything like that. Certainly not. But I think church is a good thing. I think church is a really cool place for camaraderie, for a support system. I think church is important, sure, but I also don't subscribe to a lot of things that mainstream Christianity would have us believe, right? Again, I'm very analytical with all of this stuff, right? And I think the Bible is a great thing. I read the Bible. However, I will also say that the Bible is an interpretation of another interpretation of a dead language that hasn't existed or been spoken in 2,000 years. There's a lot of room for error, basically.
Right.
Okay. And so I don't think that we should take everything verbatim, in the Bible. But I do also believe that it's important to have things like that, especially like the parables and all of these life lessons that you can learn from reading the Bible. But yeah, again, like there's just a lot of things that. So yeah, I mean, I've always been fairly spiritual, I suppose.
No, I understand completely.
And I've always believed in a God or creator of some sort, for sure.
Gotcha. I just didn't know because when I'm referring to people in A Brush with Evil 3, they mentioned that Johnny Hauser, after going to Sally's house, whatever happened to him in that location made him come back and change his beliefs or whatever, his mannerisms, we'll say, and he started going to church more often because of the evil that's down in that place, mostly, in the basement, I'm assuming. So.
Yeah, it was like Johnny was asked to do a live feed for like 3 days at the Sally house. And it was like, there was all these sponsors behind it. Like Dickies was one of the sponsors, and they were going to give Johnny like all these free Dickies clothes. And Johnny was all about it because he loves that stuff,
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's really cool. I'm like, who doesn't like Dickies stuff? It's great. But he was like all about it, and then I guess crap went sideways, and he was like, nope, never again.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's kind of interesting.
I mean, that just baffles me because he's at one of the most haunted locations in the world, Villisca Murder House, know. It's just like, how can you not believe in let me rephrase that. He believes. How can you be so scared to do other locations? It's like, holy crap.
I tell you. Like my big thing, even like, and that's totally true. I used to be like so laid back, chillax, like nothing really bothered me. And I've noticed now, like over the past few years of just being at Malvern, and like I'll be sitting there like filing things away or doing whatever, and something happens. What is the hell just happened there?
We lost your video.
There. Just a second. Somebody was trying to call me. I don't know what that was about.
Oh, there it is.
There, I'm sorry.
Hey, he's changed spots.
Somebody was trying to call me, and it like messed everything up. But no, I found myself now that I'm like super jumpy now, like all the time. Like, I don't know. It's really, really strange. Hearing things and witnessing things there like all the time. It's just, you think you would become numb to it, but it's done the exact opposite to me. I've become kind of a sissy, honestly.
No, it raises your awareness. I mean, it heightens your senses. It does all the above. I mean, we all have that. I mean, we notice more things even in our own houses and whatever else that we didn't notice before. And it's just like, holy shit, this shit has always been around. Not just at a location.
So weird.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just so weird.
Yeah.
It's really surprising we haven't heard anything in here tonight.
I was going to say, usually when we talk about certain subjects or whatever in the studio here at my house, the feed will go bad or whatever.
You haven't said the T word yet.
I'll say it. Tahlequah, Tahlequah, Tahlequah. It's like Beetlejuice. We're talking about Tahlequah, Oklahoma, the experience we all had, and that Brandon Callahan wrote the book on, The Agony That Remains.
Yes.
You and I talked, or Jason, you and myself, and Jason Kupsik talked about on your episode the infamous Bigfoot, paranormal, UFO, you name it, the whole, cavalcade, or whatever the word is, the whole shebang, basically. Yeah. And you mentioned you had an experience down in Arkansas that was mirrored to us.
Yeah, I was wanting to ask.
You want to know what's
that.
really screwed about that? Yeah, so it's really kind of screwed up. It's been exactly 2 years to the day that happened.
Really?
Like, it was because today's my mom's birthday, right? And I mentioned, like, while we were filming that, and I was having this really terrifying Bigfoot experience because I looked at my watch. I was like, oh, it's September 20th. And I'm like, happy birthday, Mom. And I said, coincidentally, this is also the day that your oldest son is going to die.
Oh, God.
But I was like, Jesus. Like, I never believed, like, this guy was telling us this Bigfoot story while we were in Arkansas, and I thought he was full of it. I thought he was absolutely full of it, to the point where I'm, like, giggling, okay, not believing this dude at all. And I definitely had to eat my hat that night because, Jesus, I don't know what we experienced, man. God bless it. It did it again.
It's either God calling you or it's the city commission's like, we're not going to want you as a candidate anymore.
Right. Yeah. We're watching right now. We're totally going to pull you out of the race.
You're like, thank God.
God dang it.
I'm done.
Like it's like 8:15 at night. Why are people calling me? Come on, man.
Yep.
It's so weird.
On Sunday.
What part of Arkansas were you in on this?
Yeah, I'm curious.
Oh, yeah, we didn't touch upon that.
Oh, yeah. So we were in, I don't know exactly what part of the state. We were in Manor, Arkansas.
Oh, okay.
We were just outside of Manor, Arkansas.
Were you down at board
at a place
camp?
It was called the Board Camp Crystal Mine, which they were there at the Paracon in Kansas City.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep, I've been there.
Really, really nice people.
Yeah.
It's an interesting place, and I was telling them when I got back that the story between there and Tahlequah was so similar. It was strange.
Yeah. It's almost the same storyline. It's just crazy.
It is kind of weird. Yeah, I mean, I'd never experienced anything like that before. That's for sure. Smelling what smelled like wet dog and garbage, like it was disgusting.
Yeah.
And
what's your take on it now?
Having rocks whiz by your head, it's like my take on it was we were a little too close, right? Like maybe I was a little too close for comfort. Like having these rocks and everything kind of whiz by my head, land right at my feet. I could tell very, very quickly that they were missing me on purpose. Almost like, okay, there's one warning. Okay, here's another warning. I didn't want to hang out for any others because I felt I was already pushing my luck a little bit. So,
right.
But I mean, Dave and I were even standing there having a conversation, and something went right in between us. It's like, how does that happen? Like how it was so precise. Like you get this feeling, okay, somebody could just beam me in the side of the head with a stone if they wanted to.
Right.
And that was kind of scary. But then at the same time, you also get this feeling that you're like, okay, if we respect them, they're then in turn not going to hurt us or would respect us in return. I don't know. It's just so freaking weird, man. Everybody before would be like, "Hey, what do you think about Bigfoot?" And I was like, "Never met the guy." You know what I mean?
Right.
I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. Now I'm definitely a believer, for sure. So.
Nice. Very cool. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, we've seen some and experienced about the same thing and the crazy shit that it might as well be Bigfoot.
I've been out in the field where I've heard the screams, the wood knocking, the things being thrown at us, finding the casts and the prints.
Yeah, the big footprints, and all that stuff.
Yeah.
It just, that shouldn't be there.
Yeah.
And that's just it. Like, it's pretty interesting. Like, he showed us this footprint. And I thought it was the coolest thing ever because it was right there. It was by a tree. I ended up getting my phone out. Like, we measured it, basically, like how big it was. And I think it was 14 feet from tip to tip. But it was like 7 or 8 inches wide. It was massive.
It's insane. Do you think it was a hoax, or do you think it really was the real deal?
I think it was probably the real deal, to be honest with you.
Wow.
I think it probably was.
Damn.
Because, I had no idea. I'm going to try to get in here where it's a little lighter. There. It's a little better.
Hey, Josh, when'd you get here?
Hey!
So let me ask you this.
Hi, everybody.
Right? So do you think... Oh, we lost one person. There he is.
I'm back. Sorry.
People are dropping left and right. So do you think Bigfoot is related to the UFOs, the paranormal, all that is one kind of a thing, or are they separate?
I'm not quite sure. I will say that it was fairly interesting. Like in Manor, Arkansas, for an example, Dave and I went to the local library after experiencing some of this stuff and looking at different UFO sightings. It was kind of weird. Like right over Mina, there was a ton of UFO sightings. And then kind of zooming out on the map a little more, you saw from the West Coast to the East Coast, this whole line of activity and sightings. So much so that like, it looked like it was like almost like a highway.
Wow.
Just going from the West Coast to the East Coast, but right over Mena, Arkansas. And I mean, that's what they do out there. That board camp crystal mine, they will sit out there and they'll just sky watch and they'll observe all sorts of cool stuff.
Yeah.
And I love you, baby. Good night. Good night. But yeah, so it's like, it's interesting to me how they would coincide, because I mean, there's so much going on out there. Something is going on, and it almost seems to be related in some way. Like what that is, I don't know. But I mean, even that board camp, man, like I was ready to tackle it because I mean, I watched an episode of what was Josh Gates's show?
That was Expedition Unknown, wasn't it? Expedition Unknown?
That's the second, the second
that one.
Show that he had.
Yeah, Expedition Unknown.
The search for the paranormal.
Yeah.
The UFOs or something.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, and I guess out there, like he had all sorts of cool experiences where, I mean, he even broke a camera. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, but going out there, like you guys would have a ball out there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Whoops. God,
Phone call time.
Did I do it again? That was my fat fingers that time. That was my fingers that time. Sorry, boys.
Nice.
So when you were there,
even taking one of your cameras and putting it down on the ground, it'll zap the battery.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like it'll just kill it. It's so weird.
I was gonna say our own Jake went there. He went there about a year ago, and you were gonna say something about it, Jake?
Well, did you guys sit on the stage at all at night and just watch and listen?
Actually, that's where we ended up pitching our tents on that stage because
cool.
I wasn't going anywhere else. Yeah.
Did anybody get a gift at any time? Like they leave a crystal for somebody?
There was a few times that we found crystals. At one point, we had left like a jar of peanut butter on the picnic
Orville
tables that are
told
on
me
top of
about
that hill up there.
Yeah.
And the peanut butter was untouched until the morning, I guess, that we had left.
Right.
We had went up one last time and we had checked. It was still there. And then we took off to head back for home. And the owner got a hold of us on our way home. And he's like, hey, I just went up there and the jar's empty. We're like,
whoa.
Right.
We were just there a couple hours ago and it was untouched.
Yeah, he actually told me about that,
know.
but I didn't know it was you.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, he told me about the peanut butter.
Oh,
yeah,
that's
when I was
awesome,
there.
dude.
Yeah.
Small world.
That's really cool. Yeah, no doubt.
Very
So we
cool.
had the same
awesome.
strange experience happen up on the same picnic table where the peanut butter was at. There was like a bubble wand,
Mm-hmm.
and it was leaned up against like a half flat volleyball or something, so it couldn't roll.
Mm-hmm.
And we got up there, and it was off to the side on the table. And he said, well, that's weird. That's not where it was. So I took it and put it back, leaning up against the ball, and then I took a rock and I put it at the base of it so it couldn't move. We messed around for a little while up there, and we started to walk away, and it was me and my wife and two other ladies and Orville, the guy that owns it.
Mm-hmm.
And I was last, and there was a lady right in front of me, and I was walking, and I heard what sounded like something big jump in the tall grass, like by that picnic table.
Yeah.
And I stopped, and the lady in front of me stopped, and she turned around, and I said, did you hear that? And she said, well, I thought I heard something, but look. And when I looked at the table, the wand was all the way out and over, laying on the table again.
Oh,
within a matter of seconds, basically, or minutes. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Wow. That's crazy.
I love that stuff.
I can't wait to go back. I mean, I've never been there, but we're planning on going down there. We plan to go down this year, and then, of course, we know what happened.
I want to stay up at that cabin up by the Psycho Ravine where he took us up there.
Yeah.
I went down in the bottom of that ravine and took the big white quartz rock off the stump and moved it.
Yeah.
And a couple months later, I was talking to them, and they sent me a picture, and it was back on the stump.
Wow.
Oh,
my
God.
Is crazy. Yeah.
So, yeah.
So did you happen to see anything out of the ordinary, Josh, down there while you were there? I mean, like, other than the footprint, which is, I mean, fascinating in itself, but I mean, like, did you see any creatures, any lights in the sky, any paranormal substance or anything?
Yeah, I mean, the first night that we were there, we were on that stage and we were talking with, I mean, there was a few different people that were there. Orville was one of them, you know, and they were just kind of cussing and discussing, talking about life or whatever. But I mean, we were just sky watching. It was really cool and peaceful. But there was a couple different things that we saw in the sky that we couldn't explain. And that's when, you know, Dave and I would go back to the library and just to see if there were any new reports of anything weird in the sky or anomalous in the sky by MUFON or anybody really. Right. So yeah, it was pretty neat though. Really, really neat. And it interested me the most just because we're out there looking for like what they would call like a spook light, right? So just like a disembodied light floating around. That's what we were there to document. Right. What we ended up, you know, experiencing was something far different between the lights in the sky, the weird like activity in the woods themselves. Like I didn't know what the hell to make of any of it.
Yeah, it's the same thing. I thought I was going to go look for UFOs, which I was totally stoked to do, but then it turned into Bigfoot, and it turned into everything else on top of it. You know, Indian rituals and all that. So
that's crazy.
It is pretty cool though. Like that place threw me for a loop, honestly. It was really fun though.
So that'll phenomenon, was that for your Into the Light series, your movie you were doing, or is that separate?
Yeah, that was for the second film.
Second one. That's crazy. That's cool. Yeah, that's another series that Josh did. Also, was the Into the Light series, and talking about ghost lights and whatnot, which we captured. We talked about it. We saw those in Tahlequah. Here I go. I say the Beetlejuice word again. Tahlequah, Oklahoma, and we caught them on films, and they were different colors. They were green, they were red, they were orange, they were white. They're different things. I mean, I don't know what they were, but we caught them on camera, luckily.
It's a pretty interesting phenomenon, really, because it's like you want to know if there's any form of intelligence behind it, right? Which some of them, or some of the claims that you hear, they're almost like following along with somebody or walking almost beside somebody, which to me would suggest some form of intelligence. There was one that we read about in the Brown Mountains of North Carolina. A father and son were out hiking, and a light, two lights came up to them, split in half, went around them, and then joined back up and just kind of continued on their way.
Wow.
So again, almost suggesting a form of intelligence of some sort. Right. I still have no clue, like when any of this stuff is. It's amazing.
So do you think the color of the light has a special meaning behind it, possibly, like the type of energy it is?
Potentially, yeah. I know there's a lot of people that would suggest that too. Almost like an aura, right?
Yeah,
like
exactly.
Kind of like what, yeah.
Yeah, because we've kind of explored that phenomenon as well. What are the colors we see as far as like the shadows or the mist? We see white mist. We've seen like blue. We've seen even brown and different color mist. Does it hold a special meaning for something? That's one thing we're currently researching as well, trying to figure out what does that mean.
I think it's fascinating stuff, and I mean, definitely, like I said in the first Into the Light film, I was like, this is something that's been pretty much just overlooked by the majority of us in the paranormal field because, it isn't a spooky, scary demon or whatever, it isn't this, it isn't that, it isn't, and that's kind of, interestingly, kind of the direction that the paranormal has kind of been going in, right? It's got to be darker and it's got to be scarier. And
always. Yep.
It's almost like Jurassic World, right? When they're trying to manufacture a dinosaur and they say like, oh, it has to be toothier. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah. It's like
exactly.
that. It's like that. But I mean, there's so much more to all of this. And it's like, man, I would really like to explore that even further. Cause I think the whole spook light phenomenon is fascinating.
Oh yeah, for sure. What is one that you've seen or researched that really grabbed a hold of your attention the longest as far as the spook light phenomenon?
Well, with Dave Glidden, when we were up there filming, we were in the Brown Mountains there in North Carolina. And, the first night, not a lot happened. The second night, we were really hoping something would happen because it was the last night that we were going to be there before we had to start coming back home. And right on the top of these mountains, we were seeing all sorts of really, really cool phenomenon going on. That really, honestly took my breath away. I had no idea, that we were going to be able to experience that. And I felt incredibly fortunate to be there for that, because there was other people like campers and all that stuff that were all the way down in this ravine. You could tell they were seeing it too, because you could see their flashlights clicking on and all of this stuff, and you could almost hear the oohs and ahs. It was really, really neat. And then here's Dave and I on top of this mountain, crapping ourselves, what the fuck is that?
Right.
Oh my God. That was really cool. The first time I ever experienced any form of what I would consider a spook light was actually at Workman's Chapel when I was in college. And because we went out there all the time, but we're out there and right along the tree line, there was this ball of light, and it was orange in color, and it seemed to just kind of be bobbing its way up and down this tree line. I didn't say a word to anybody. I just kind of stood there. I observed what I was seeing there, and I just kept it to myself. But again, like with the color of it, it being orange or whatever, it's like, what does that mean? How am I supposed to take that? If it was blue, would I think something different? Would I feel something different? If it was red, would it be something different? I don't know.
Right.
But that was the first time that I ever remember seeing anything like that. But I've been fascinated with it ever since, because I always went back to that moment, like, what the hell was that?
Exactly.
People see orbs all the time, right?
Right.
Or they claim to see orbs all the time with the naked eye.
Yep.
And sometimes would suggest that, yeah, there are different colors. But that was the first time for me, ever seeing anything like that.
Wow. Yeah, it's definitely something that will stick with you when you see it, because it's just like you said, the exact words are, what the hell did I just see? Because pretty sure that's what came out of my mouth.
Because you almost are like second and third guessing yourself. Am I really seeing this? Is this some kind of a weird reflection or refraction of light, or from some unknown source that I'm not quite seeing? But I mean, for it to move around and bounce around and almost follow us and then come back, it's like, what? Like, I don't know. I don't get it.
Like I said, we experienced it definitely down in Tahlequah. I mean, heavily. It always happens. One of the stories we had is Jason and one of our friends, Brendan Brannon, who started Bigfooting in Kansas. They had set up on one excursion, they set up some glow sticks with the camera we had, try to capture, supposedly Bigfoot, is entertained by these lights, so draw him in. So that was one set trip, which we did have our camera wires cut by an unknown thing. We can't figure out to this day what it was. And it was all on footage, so nothing shows up, nothing walks away. You can't hear anything.
Doesn't even make sound, anything.
Yeah, no sound. So our camera gets cut, and then the camera with the actual glow sticks starts shaking violently at the same time. It's, once again, timestamps are important because we're watching this live. We see it. Well, we come back for another return trip, and we're there for like a 4-day excursion, and we're at this one location with this house for paranormal, and I look over and I said, "Oh, there's some lights in the trees." I was like, "Oh, Jason must have put his glow sticks up already." So I radioed to him. I was like, "Jason, you put the glow sticks up?" He's like, "Oh, shoot, I forgot all about them. They're back at base camp in my backpack. I don't have anything." I'm thinking, then what in the fuck am I looking at? Because I see these bright orange lights in the trees, like you said, following you. I'm like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
That's
the time where I forgot to do what I was supposed to do.
Hey, I'm glad you did, because I would have been like, oh shit. But then the weird thing was, where I was in proximity to where we put the glow sticks up was a good, 50 yards or so. I mean, I couldn't even see him through the trees. I shouldn't have been able to see him. And I'm like seeing these glowing lights, assuming it's Jason, and it's neither. It's like, holy shit.
Oh my God.
Question about that, Leo. How high do you think that was, the lights you were seeing?
That I saw? Probably 10 to 12 feet in the air.
You know damn well that's not me.
I can't help if you're 4'6".
I can get the 5.5 foot, but that's about it.
I wasn't even there, so we could be master blaster.
Right. Oh my God, Jason is a little on the short side. I will just say that, to put it nicely. But yeah, no, I saw him. It caught my attention. I looked over, like, oh, cool. Glow sticks are up. So I decided to radio him and ask Jason. He's like, no, I forgot. I'm back at base camp. I'm like, what the fuck am I seeing?
What the hell is that? Yeah.
Right. Good old ghost lights, man. Yeah, it's quite the phenomenon. I know a lot of people, well, let me just say that, the so-called experts, the skeptics, they want to say it's the good old swamp gas. It's, all that fun.
Bad burrito.
Yeah. Yeah, there's all sorts of weird explanations or whatever that they try, right, to throw out, like ball lightning, will-o'-the-wisp, like all of this stuff. It's just like, I don't know. It just doesn't seem to fit a pattern to me.
It doesn't. I think one of my favorite footage was, I can't remember where, it's somewhere in Michigan where they have that ghost light that occurs, and it's off in the distance. You go down this road, and it's on one side of the hill, and they always say it's like a former train, like, conductor or somebody walking down the train track, supposedly, and all this stuff, and people have tried to go find it, and they cannot debunk what the hell this light is. I mean, it's phenomenal.
It is pretty cool footage. Even if it's fake, it looks damn real.
Right.
Honestly.
Yeah. There's a ghost light not too far from where we're at. Well, it's about, I don't know how many, it's between Oklahoma and Kansas and Missouri where it all meets. It's out by just south of Pittsburgh, Kansas. And they see this ghost light all the time too, and it's been documented and stuff. And it's one I want to definitely research and go investigate when we have time. Once Corona lets us go out and do this kind of thing.
Yeah,
we got one
no
in Hutch
doubt.
as well.
What'd you say?
There's one up in Hutch, the blue light boy.
Oh.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I guess that kind of goes hand in hand. They would say like the blue light lady or whatever. You always hear those urban legends. Everybody has it. Every state, every town has that.
Right.
Well, there's supposedly some ghost lights out in the Flint Hills too.
Makes sense. I mean, there's a lot of uncharted territory you can't get to, so why not? Well,
hell, see them from the road and stuff.
We've seen them in cemeteries, and here in Wichita, we were on a ghost tour, matter of fact, that Jason gives through Ghost Tours of Kansas, and I happened to be luckily to tag along that night, and I see this blue floating light, going off in the distance, so I start looking at it, and next to me is one of the guests, and her grandson, and she's like, "What is that?" I'm like, "Oh crap, you see that too?" It's this blue, floating light. So I'm like, "Let's go follow it." And we try to get close to it, and the closer we got, the further it went away. And there's nobody in this cemetery at this time. It's like 11 o'clock at night or whatever time it was. And once again, blue light.
The first ghost tour I met Jason on, when we were there, we were taking pictures out of the bus, and we caught a blue light.
Oh, really? At the same cemetery?
And I didn't know about your story or
dude.
or anything.
Good old ghost light, man. It's quite the phenomenon. So, wow.
That's good stuff.
Yeah.
See, I'm always the one talking, and I never see shit on the ghost tours.
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
Everybody else is looking and seeing it, and I'm like the one entertaining everybody. But yet, no one's listening to me. They're off looking at ghost lights and stuff.
You're just basically talking to yourself. I get it. I totally get it.
That's hilarious, man.
Oh my gosh,
he misses all the fun all the time. He does, unfortunately.
Take a party bus to the cemetery at night,
Right.
It's pretty fun.
So, do you guys do a lot of cemeteries, Josh, or have you had many experiences with it in your past, basically?
Yeah, in the past I would go like all the time, and then I went somewhat recently. I mean, it was a couple years ago or whatever, and I was just experimenting with dowsing rods. Because I find dowsing rods really cool. They're interesting. But I did. So it was kind of funny to me. I had this guy, and I used to go investigating with him all the time. His name was Ron, and Ron ended up passing away from cancer. But Ron always told me that, because he loved dowsing rods, and he would always tell me that if you would take dowsing rods into a cemetery and kind of go over a grave of somebody that is buried there or whatever, that they would cross. I found that interesting. But then what he also said is, okay, now take it to a grave of somebody that was cremated and then buried, and they won't cross. They'll stay at neutral. And so I've done this now numerous times, and obviously I did it at Ron's grave because I knew Ron wouldn't mind me doing this experiment on his grave, because it sounds disrespectful as hell. It really does. But no, I found it interesting that it actually works. We're definitely in the Rona season here. I'm trying to log my daughter's tablet into our Wi-Fi. God. Sorry.
No worries.
Did I get it? Okay, perfect.
Hey, duty calls.
Trying to remember our password and all that
right.
stuff. I'm like, oh, Jesus. Okay.
It'll be a pop quiz tonight.
Yeah, no kidding, right? Good Lord. It's good stuff, though. And honestly, like, I remember my most memorable thing with, like, Into the Light after we did that at Mina was Dave jumping out of the bushes in an alien costume, scaring the shit out of me. Which is like at the very end of the film, like when the credits are rolling, you see that footage, which I begged him not to use that footage at all, because he scared the shit out of me, because like I was walking with Orville, and Orville was in on the joke too.
Of course.
Walking around, and I was like, yeah, I'm radioing for Dave, and his walkie was off. It wasn't even working at all. And I'm like, oh, this isn't good. So I'm going to go where Dave was. And I go over there, and I see his camera's on the ground, and Dave is nowhere to be found, but the camera's still rolling. I'm like, he wouldn't do that.
Oh, my God.
You know, so I'm like, oh, something's wrong with my boy.
Right.
So I'm running around, and I hear this rustling in the bushes. And I'm like, what is that? And here comes this alien kind of out of the thing, and I almost shot Dave.
Oh my God! How do you explain that to the authorities? I shot him, not intentionally, but kind of.
The South Parkway. He was coming right.
That's right. He's so coming right for us. Hell yeah. That's a universal.
Funny because like we were going through our checklist of things to pack, right? And I was like, well, I'm definitely bringing my pistol with me. And Dave's like, oh no, you don't need that. And I'm like, we're gonna be in the woods. Like, I'm bringing the pistol. You know what I mean? He's like,
always.
No, you don't need to bring that. That's fine. Why does he not want me to bring this gun so bad? Now I figured it out.
Exactly. So you don't shoot my ass. That's why.
Right.
That's hilarious, man. Not to go back and watch that part, because that's awesome.
Oh, it's terrible.
So besides that incident, what other kind of comical things have you had happen to you on camera or even off camera like that? Any bloopers? We have some good ones like that too, trust me.
There's this one. We were walking around Hillview Manor in Pennsylvania, and there's this really cool shot of me walking down this hallway, and you've got the cameraman right behind me, but you have another cameraman filming that camera. And he runs right smack dab into a power box, like a breaker box.
Yeah.
And so you just see him walking, and then you hear this dunk, and then he just completely had the shot.
Holy shit.
And so I turn around, I'm like, God, you're just having a day, aren't you, pal?
And there we go, full circle,
he's like
head donk.
3 times that day already.
Definitely gives the meaning to the word head donk in Josh's case. Yeah. Oh my God, that poor cameraman.
Yeah.
Well,
he was just straight donking that night, man.
That's hilarious.
Poor guy.
Well, we told about
poor guy.
We told about it on last week's podcast. Same thing luckily on camera, as nobody's ever seen it other than the actual team. But we were at a business location investigating, and my dumbass decides to go up to the attic, which I'm scared of heights, number one, which I should never been there. But I go up there with the owner. I'm following behind him, and behind me is a cameraman. So the owner turns to me and says, "Make sure you stay on the plywood. You're in the attic." Okay, yeah. So I turn, and this is where this is going. I turn to the cameraman and say, "Hey, man, stay on the plywood." I take one more step. I'm not on the plywood. I go through the frickin' ceiling, dude. At a business place, and I landed. Luckily, what stopped my fall was I fell over an office, and I landed on the actual the what do you call it, the ceiling joint. It stopped my fall barely, but I landed on partially on a desk up that was happened to be underneath me, so it stopped my fall. Luckily, or so I'd have fell probably 20 feet. And who knows what the hell would have happened, but god damn it, did it hurt. But it's all on camera, of course. And these guys, they're, the teams, they can hear everything. They're laughing their ass off, like, what the fuck is going on? They didn't care about my health or whatever, especially since they knew once they found out I'm okay, they're like, oh, well, good. We can, go back and watch the footage. I'm like, fuck you guys, that hurt.
No doubt.
I made sure you were fine before I laughed.
Sure you did.
I did. And then I laughed harder when I watched the video of it.
One of these days that footage will see the light, but right now, not today.
Jason, me and you at the Dodge Hospital kicking rocks down the grate was pretty good.
Once again,
not right.
It's like an alien moment where they're kicking rocks and stuff down this.
Yeah,
was it, like a chute or something?
Well, Dan and Roth were in the basement, and you could hear them through this heated.
Oh, I heard the recordings.
And you could hear them talking down there and asking if anybody was there. Well, me and Jason were in the hallway above, and there was broken tile everywhere. Mm-hmm. So we could hear them, and they'd say, well, make a noise if you're here. And I would kick a little piece of that broken tile down the grate, and you'd hear them like, oh, my God, they're down here. And, oh, can you make that noise again? So I'd kick another piece of tile down the grate. And then all of a sudden they're radioing us, oh, you guys got to get down here. Oh, they're doing everything we ask them to do and making all this noise. I'm just like, does the noise sound like this? And I kick another piece of tile down there. Oh, you guys are assholes.
There you go, taking evidence.
That's right. This is intelligent haunting, man. Holy shit. Oh, my God. That's hilarious.
Oh, that's the best.
Yeah, every now and then you got to have some fun. I mean, we take it serious, of course, but, sometimes you never know when the unexpected is going to happen.
Take the opportunity.
Yeah, honestly, it's like, sometimes it's 4 o'clock in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning, and you're just like, God damn it, like I need a chuckle or something, right?
Right.
That's one
break it up a little bit.
I think that was the same night.
Yeah, Jake's infamous. We call him Jake Break because he's infamous for farting on camera or on whatever, and it sounds like a goddamn Jake break.
Well, the trucks have been doing that all night right there because it was right off the highway. So I thought I'd try to blame them.
Try to match the trucks.
It sounded like Peterbilt.
The recorders are sensitive.
Yeah, they are. You should have known that.
I did.
Of course you did. No, it's fun time. Like I said, if you can't laugh at yourself, somebody else will. So.
Exactly.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, that's the truth.
Oh, my God. So we got about 10 minutes left in the show. You guys have anything else you want to ask the man himself, Mr. Josh Hurd?
Bucket list. What's a place you really, really want to get into?
Good question.
Oh, Waverly for sure.
Oh, me too.
I wanted to experience that place for myself, right? And then, gosh, man, I would love to do like the Winchester House or even the Myrtles Plantation, someplace really cool like that. Someplace that I could also like kind of sleep in that place too, I guess. I would really like that, That'd be nice. But I don't know, like if you can stay overnight at the at Waverly or not. I don't know if you can or not.
I don't know either. I know at Myrtles you can. Myrtles is like a B&B, isn't it?
Yeah, the Myrtles
or
you
bread and
definitely
breakfast.
can for sure. Like you can just kind of rent a room and do your thing. I wanted to rent the shack that was in the back and off to the side there.
Right.
It used to be the slave quarters. But I mean, there's a few different beds in there too. So I mean, you could bring your buddies, and you could all just kind of crash out there.
Yeah, definitely.
I think that would be really cool.
Oh,
to do
for
that.
sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. I remember back in the day, MTV had that show called Fear. I don't know if anybody ever saw that, where they would go and film, and they did that kind of a thing where they did to Myrtles, and that I remember that person had that activity with the door and all that shit, and somebody running up on them. Now, how much of it was staged for MTV, I don't know, but it's still cool as hell. It
kind of makes you wonder, especially with a network like MTV, right? It's like, what are you trying to do? Are you trying to sensationalize it? Like, I don't know. It's weird.
But that was one of the earliest ghost hunting shows out there. Was it Fear? I mean, even about the same time when Ghost Hunters started and Ghost Adventures, it was all about the same time. And man, it's crazy shit.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. There was a show out there. It was produced by Josh Gates, and I forget what the heck this is called. Oh, it was called Stranded.
Oh, yeah. And kind of the same thing.
I think they only did like one season of it.
They did.
But yeah, it was just like you had a couple people who were like non-believers, a person that totally believed, somebody that was on the fence, and they would just drop them off at a location for a week.
Yeah.
And be like, there you go. Here's the equipment you'll use. Here's the history of the place. Like, that was awesome.
That's freaking amazing.
That was like pure unadulterated fear right there. Right. I loved it.
It only lasted a season. It's like, what the hell? This is cool, man. This is badass. Sign me up.
One of the better shows for sure, just because it was totally real. Like you're watching people fall apart on camera.
Good old mental breakdown. Yep, it was pretty freaking badass.
Yeah.
Holy shit. Jason, you said you asked a question about bucket list. What else was you? I started to think something about. Oh damn it! I can't think.
Old age.
Oh, whatever. Old age. Oh shit! I can't think. I was going to ask him. You made me think of something else.
Well, while you're thinking about it,
go ahead,
you never
please.
did answer the one place that you would not go back to.
Oh, good call.
Oh,
good callback.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Workman's Chapel for sure. I've kind of entirely, put that behind me. But like, as far as never go back to, I mean, it'd probably take a lot for me to go back to the Sally House, honestly.
Really?
Like with the weird stuff that I've experienced there, the weird stuff that like Johnny experienced there. I mean, twist my arm a little bit, I'll probably go back, what I mean? But still, I mean, that was definitely one of the places that really get me thinking not to go back to.
So have you been just there the one time to Sally, or have you been there multiple times?
Just that one time.
Wow.
That was it.
And the activity you got was pretty fascinating.
It's an interesting place.
It was.
It feels weird.
It really is. Yeah. I've had other people that I've talked to that are like, oh, we didn't experience anything.
Right.
And I'm like, man, I would like to experience a night like that. And then I would like to go back again and experience another night like I had before.
Yeah.
Just to watch and feel the building morph the way that it does. I mean, I've picked up similar things at like Villisca. I've been there and nothing has happened the whole night. I've been there other nights and that place had me wanting to run out the door. I mean, I guess it just kind of depends on when you're there and if, I don't know, like what's the antecedent of a haunting, I guess.
So let me ask you this, kind of what I went back to earlier. Do you think what you experienced at Sally House, was it indigenous to the place, or was it something you brought with you or brought out because of you were there?
I don't know. Like what I thought was interesting was like how we were both experiencing the same thing at the same time, specifically with like the sulfur smell.
Yeah.
It's like, what the hell is that? It's like, well, we all have an idea of what that potentially could be, but why? Why both teams at the same time? Like, what's going on with that?
Wow.
So did we bring something with us, or did we just step on a beehive in some way? Like what's going on with that? So,
wow. Speaking of, we were just talking off camera here. We heard a disembodied voice in studio here. A male voice came through. I don't know if you could hear it through the speakers or not, but holy shit, that was loud.
Because I heard it in.
I heard it. Yes.
That's crazy.
Is that what I heard? I heard something.
Yeah, it was a male voice that spoke behind us. But when you were talking, it wasn't one of us. It was just loud as can be. I didn't hear what it said because it caught me off guard. But holy shit, that's wild, man. And it,
probably
I'm gonna have to go back and listen to this after we're done.
Yeah, it's wild. It was pretty deep, and I don't know what it said. I'm curious as if it was for a message to you or if it was one of us, because that's usually what happens on this show.
We'll just say it was for one of you guys. How about that?
That's right. We are in Kansas, after all. So, damn you, Sally House.
Sure,
no,
man.
kidding. Yeah, that's one place I'd like to go. We've never gone, just because.
Hey, speak for yourself.
Oh, you guys haven't been yet?
Well, not as a team. Jake's been there. He went there, and it was one of the tours where he couldn't go down in the basement. They had, forbidden. But he went up. He didn't go to Sally's room so much. He said he had more activity in
the front bedroom upstairs is where it's at for me, anyway.
The closet.
Yeah, well, yeah, and then that whole bedroom. That's where I had.
What is the deal with that closet?
That closet.
Like, what is the deal with that? It's super weird.
It was like it wanted me to go in there. I don't know why it wanted to go in there, but when I came out was when the strangest thing happened. I kind of felt weird, and then I got so hot, like hotter.
That's right, you said that.
Then it just started pouring sweat, dripping on the floor out of nowhere, and it lasted a couple of minutes and then went back to normal.
Wow.
It was strange.
Wow, brother.
That's crazy. That's insane. Yeah, that place, I mean, like I said, it's on our bucket list too, which is, it's kind of hard, I mean, because what they're charging nowadays for it and whatnot, and just everybody's going there.
What does it cost now?
Do you remember, Dan?
If you don't mind.
What it is? Is it like 400? It's not terrible. It's like 400 a night, but 150 per person.
Like
after
the last
that.
time I was there, it was $100. It was $100 per person. That's what I paid when we were there filming.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah, because I think it's 400 just to rent the place.
Yeah.
Oh, he has a phone call.
God bless it.
No, but I think it's like a $400 just to book it, and then 100 per person or 150 per person after that for like 5 people or something. I can't remember. It's climbing.
I see.
Yeah, and like we were talking about, at one point it was for sale about a couple years ago for like $875,000. It's just like almost $1 million. Holy shit! I mean, you can make your money back.
Best of luck.
Yeah, you can make your money back if you rent it out, but holy crap.
Yeah, but I mean, you're still not gonna. Oh my God, you're not gonna see a profit forever.
Right? Yeah, could rent it out every night for a year, like 15 months straight to make it back or something like crazy. I did the math at one time. It's like, that ain't happening.
Yeah, because the regular tour like I did was only like $8. I mean, that's a lot of $8 tours.
Right? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Right on, man. Well, we're up to almost the 9 o'clock hour. Anybody else have any final parting words for our guest?
I don't think so. Not at this time.
Yeah, man, no. Yeah, dude, you have an open, welcome invitation to come on the show anytime you like. When you're, once you become the official county supervisor, you can promote yourself shamelessly and everything else.
Guys, I appreciate it very much. I had a blast with you guys. This was fun. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Hang on the line, man. We'll talk off air here real quick. I'm going to go ahead and start the outro, and then we will have just a couple wrap-up conversation off air. So, once again, this has been our guest, the Josh Hurd from, let's go to the list, the Ectoplasm Show, Malvern Manor, and G Crew, and we talked about his other, documentaries he's done, from the Brush with Evil 1, 2, and 3 to Into the Light to, I'm forgetting something, I'm sure. But
Midi Space.
Midi Space, yeah. He does it all, man. So, author, writer, director, extraordinaire, you name it. Josh is doing it. So, but we thank him again for joining this evening, and we thank you guys for tuning in for Cryptic Heartland. Make sure you hit like, subscribe to the channel. That way you can go live when we go live. Also, too, phone call time. And then tune in next week as we welcome to the show for the first time the infamous She Squatchers. They'll be here next weekend on next weekend's show, so make sure you tune in 7 to 9 Central Standard Time every Sunday night on Cryptic Heartland. Thank you guys. We'll talk to you next week. Bye.
Peace out, everybody.